I did everything right, but that's exactly why everything went wrong. And now I have to live with the fact that it made me a completely different person. What happened at the end completely changed my life forever. I spotted it right after sunrise. A single unfamiliar hair curled near the seam of her pillow. It was dark, nearly black, but Amanda's was sunlit blonde. My first instinct wasn't rage. It wasn't even confusion. It was calculation. I tucked the thought away, offered her coffee, and kissed her on the forehead, like every other morning. But I never took my eyes off her. That afternoon, I slid the key fob across the table like I was just tidying up. She didn't know the tiny lens embedded inside it had just begun recording. Let her smile. Let her talk. Let her think she was winning. Later that night, as she dozed on the couch, I synced her tablet to my cloud account, a trick I'd figured out months ago when I helped her set up her backups. I wasn't prepared for what I found. An album titled Muted, a grotesque digital diary of betrayal. There were photos of her and a man I didn't recognize, laughing in our kitchen, leaning on my car, and in one photo that made my hands go numb, wearing one of my hoodies in the mirror of our own bathroom. She must have thought naming the folder something ambiguous would be enough. She didn't expect I'd be looking. I didn't sleep that night. My breath was shallow. My chest felt heavy like something was being carved out of it, piece by piece. But even then, I wasn't thinking about confrontation. I was thinking of precision. By morning, I had filed for a rental office in the same business complex where the man worked. 2 floors above him, 2 floors closer to knowing. It took me less than a week to become a ghost in his orbit, nodding casually in the elevator, walking past his office just long enough to recognize his voice. A few days later, I found him in the building cafe, bragging to a coworker with his back turned. She says her husband's clueless, a soft idiot. I almost laughed. If I was a fool, I was a fool with access to every password we'd ever shared, including the ones that held our finances together like stitches on a wound. My coffee burned my throat, but I didn't flinch. I just made a note. The operation had started. Phase 1. Move silently. Under a name she didn't know and never would, I opened a new company. Fake branding, fake owners. But it was real enough to open a bank account. Slowly, methodically, I began shifting funds. Family savings, joint investments. Every last automated payment rerouted. Every deposit rerouted. On paper, nothing looked different, but the funneling had begun. Next came documentation. I spent 3 hours at a notary, laying out the affair in cold legal terms, authenticated evidence, screenshots, file directories, the photos, the texts, even the timestamps where she said things like, "He'd never find out. He doesn't even pay attention." I saved it all. Digital archives sorted by emotion, betrayal, finance, intimacy. I bought a burner SIM, registered under a Shell ID, and launched a Telegram channel. I didn't post publicly, not yet, but I began queuing the drops. Audio clips, screen recordings, dates, locations. Meanwhile, I got myself hired on contract at the very same security firm as her lover. Night shift, monitoring feeds, pretending I didn't notice him flashing smiles at every reflection. On a Thursday morning, while sipping energy drinks in the surveillance room, I caught him boasting again. "She says it's almost over. We're going to sell the house soon." I didn't blink. By dawn, I had the property documents in my hands. Transferred. Legally. Sole owner. Me. I watched the sunrise from the balcony of that house, our house, knowing every shadow cast across the lawn belonged to me now. She thought she had control. She hadn't even noticed the battlefield was shifting beneath her feet. Amanda had no idea that every smile I offered her was a shadow of the man she used to know. I didn't flinch when she pulled me close at night. I didn't argue when she bought a new dress, just because. I let her play the devoted wife again, rehearse her act like nothing had changed, because she didn't know she was already in Act 2 of a story she never realized I was writing. While she was out at brunches and Pilates, I was embedding microphones in our bedroom lamp. I rewired a forgotten security panel in the garage. A neighbor might have thought I was fixing up the place, trying to impress a future buyer. But I wasn't preparing for sale. I was preparing for war. In the evenings, I ran tests, watching delayed footage of Amanda on the phone, pacing barefoot in the kitchen, whispering into that cheap little AirPod I never liked. Sometimes she sounded bored, sometimes giddy. I counted the I miss yous, and he doesn't suspect a thing, like they were gunshots in the distance. She had no clue that every day she looked through the mirror, I had already pulled another thread from the illusion she thought she controlled. By the third week, the Telegram channel was growing, quietly. I never promoted it. It spread the way rot does. Slow, silent, seeping into corners people don't see until it's too late. A few anonymous subscribers at first, then dozens. My favorite comment read simply, "I think I know her." This is about Amanda, right? Right. That week I planted a mole. A woman I met through a mutual friend who was now posing as a potential client for Amanda's boutique PR firm. Her job? Ask questions that felt harmless. How's your marriage? Does your husband support your career? Does he trust you with money? Every time Amanda laughed and answered, the mic in the flower vase recorded it all. One night while reviewing footage, I saw Amanda sprawled across our bed, texting furiously. My face didn't twitch. I zoomed in on her phone's reflection in the vanity mirror. The message she typed read, "He's been weird lately. Hope he's not catching on." Then another, "But I think it's almost over. He's not a fighter. He's the quiet type." And that's exactly what I needed her to believe. Then came the invitations. It was our 10th wedding anniversary, and I planned a dinner at a private lounge. No kids, no distractions, just Amanda and me. She walked in looking like a memory from a better life, heels clicking, dressed tight enough to mean something. She smiled like she'd already won. I handed her the menu. It had only two options, to know, to live. She smirked at the pretension of it, flipping the menu with a scoff. But instead of food, the waiter brought her an envelope. She gave him a puzzled look. He nodded, set the wine down and said, "Your bill, ma'am," then walked away. Inside the envelope was a flash drive and a note in my handwriting. "This is only part 1. Part 2 goes to court. Part 3, to your parents. Part 4, to HR." I watched her blood drain out of her cheeks like someone cut a wire inside her. She tried to stand. I shook my head, gesturing to the silver cloche sitting beside her plate. "Sit," I said. "There are 7 courses ahead, 1 for each year of lies." She sat. The first dish was ice-cold oysters, because nothing rots quite like love served raw. She didn't eat. I didn't speak. I let her stew, watch the layers of her carefully curated life peel away like the skin of a fruit left too long in the sun. She whispered something. Maybe an apology, maybe just my name. I didn't care. I tapped the table twice, and the waiter returned with the second course. A salad of bitter greens. Arugula, endive, radicchio. All thorns. No sweetness. "I thought this was a celebration," she murmured. "It is," I said. "For me." She didn't understand yet. Not fully. The third dish arrived. It was her favorite. Lobster risotto. I made sure it came out overcooked. I leaned in, keeping my voice even, like a scalpel just before it cuts. "You said I wasn't a fighter, but I am. I just fight different." Amanda looked around. The lounge was empty. I had booked the entire place. No witnesses, no cameras but mine. "Where's your ring?" I asked casually. She touched her finger instinctively. "I left it on the nightstand, next to your burner phone." Her lips parted. No sound came out. We finished the remaining courses in silence. I ate mine. She didn't touch hers. When the 7th and final dish arrived, a small, clean square of dark chocolate, garnished with edible gold, she finally broke. "I want to fix this," she said, voice cracking. "Please." I stood. "You already did," I said. "You broke it so well, I finally see things clearly." She begged then, quietly, and I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I just walked out, leaving her with the flash drive and a dinner table full of cold truths dressed up like cuisine. Amanda didn't leave the bedroom the next morning. She lay still under the covers like if she didn't move. Maybe I'd forget everything. I made breakfast for our daughter, packed her lunch, and walked her to school like it was any other Tuesday. But inside, everything had changed. When betrayal detonates, the smoke doesn't rise. It sinks into your lungs and stays there. I passed the billboard on my way home, right where I'd paid for it to be. 10 feet tall, bold serif font on white. Trust, but verify. Even if her name is Amanda. Below that, a blurry but unmistakable photo. Amanda, laughing at someone just out of frame. Anyone who knew her wouldn't need clarity. They'd recognize the bracelet, the posture, the lie beneath the smile. By noon, her PR agency's inbox had collapsed under the weight of questions. Clients canceled. Journalists asked for statements. Sponsors vanished. Greg from HR, my contact, my setup, called me directly. I'd planted him in her orbit months ago, long before the first receipt or burner phone. He'd heard the whispers, knew what to do. By the end of the week, Amanda was dismissed for violating internal policy and creating a conflict of interest. Her email was shut down. Her name erased from the company's About Us page. She came home early and found the locks changed. On the kitchen table, instead of dinner, she found two things: a sealed envelope from my lawyer, a handwritten note from our daughter. Mom, why did Dad cry when he tucked me in? The next phase was meticulous. I hired a psychologist, not for me, but to evaluate our daughter, to document what Amanda had corrupted: the fights, the mood swings, the missed birthdays, the bedtime stories she skipped while texting under blankets. I wanted it all on paper, ready for court. Next, a forensic accountant. I handed him 3 years' worth of bank statements, Uber receipts, hotel invoices. His conclusion: Amanda had taken out loans in my name. Quiet, steady, all to cover her lover's debts. Designer clothes, plane tickets, a gym membership billed to our joint card. She'd been supporting him like a charity case in skinny jeans. A handwriting expert confirmed the signatures were forged. That gave me legal grounds to file a criminal case. And I did. She didn't knock, didn't beg. She sent a message through her sister asking for a sit-down. I agreed with conditions. The meeting took place in a cold, neutral conference room. Amanda sat across from me, her shoulders curled like she was trying to disappear. Beside me, my lawyer and her mother, not mine. Heron. She deserved to explain herself in front of someone who remembered the vows she once made. Amanda cried before she even spoke. My lawyer hit record. She talked about feeling invisible, how her friends convinced her infidelity was self-care. She blamed loneliness, then culture, then that rush of being noticed again. She said it was never about leaving me, just about feeling wanted. Then she whispered, "I want to fix this." I looked at her mother. That woman looked 10 years older, her hands trembling on her purse. Then she spoke. "Michael doesn't owe you anything. He let you speak. That's more than you gave him." Amanda broke down. I didn't say a word. I stood and walked out while her sobs followed me to the parking lot. She thought she chose freedom. She didn't realize she'd chosen fallout, and I'd only just begun pressing the detonator. By dawn the next morning, the town was already talking. I wasn't checking the group chats or scrolling through gossip threads. People brought it straight to me. The whispers came in the form of awkward glances at the gas station, hushed side comments at my daughter's school pickup. Some people nodded with sympathy, others with curiosity, but everyone knew. That billboard had cracked Amanda's mask so wide, even strangers were staring at the fracture lines. Her PR firm was in a full-scale meltdown. A few junior reps, desperate to save their own careers, began forwarding me emails from clients demanding clarity, screenshots of panicked Slack messages. One message simply said, "Amanda's done. We need distance, fast." She didn't know it yet, but her professional world had turned to ash in a single morning. Meanwhile, Amanda wasn't just spiraling, she was scrambling. The new locks kept her out physically, but it was the silence that did the real damage. No answers, no confrontation, just legal documents waiting on her lawyer's desk, and a daughter whose goodbye hugs had gone cold. For years, she had been center stage, in her job, in her affair, in her fake reinvention. Now she was background noise in a story that had moved on without her. And just like that, the house that once echoed with her voice now felt like mine again. That afternoon, I sat down with a financial analyst I'd retained for a different kind of audit. Not money, but motive. Over 3 years of data, we tracked every payment Amanda made. The wellness retreats, the overpriced therapy courses, the $900 Uber bills, the boutique charges from cities she told me she'd never visited. But what caught my attention wasn't just the spending, it was the pattern. All of it started the same month she began working late. All of it ramped up the month after she met him. Even more damning, a transfer from our joint account, disguised as a medical bill, sent directly to a loan account under his name. She wasn't just covering for him, she was carrying him. While she told me we couldn't afford summer camp for our daughter, she was paying off another man's credit card debt. I brought the findings to my lawyer. His eyebrows barely moved. "You have her," he said. "Emotionally, legally, financially. She doesn't know how deep she's already sunk." But Amanda was about to find out. She reached out again, this time directly, a shaky voicemail that sounded rehearsed. She wanted to meet. "Not to fix anything," she said, "just to talk." I told her she could have 10 minutes. One time, one location, with one condition. Her mother had to be there. Amanda showed up dressed like she had somewhere important to be afterward. That detail made my stomach turn. She still didn't understand. Still thought she had some dignity left to protect. She started with soft apologies, then said she missed our mornings, said she missed our family, said she had no idea how much damage she'd done until she saw the note from our daughter. I said nothing, just placed a printed receipt on the table between us, the one showing a $1,000 wire transfer to her lover, titled "Car Repairs." Her mother gasped. Amanda just stared at it. The mask slipped again. I could see in her eyes that she didn't know I knew that much. I leaned forward. "You called me invisible, irrelevant, said I wasn't a fighter. You were half right." Amanda swallowed hard. Her mother was trembling. She placed a hand on Amanda's wrist, whispering something I didn't hear. Then Amanda did what I didn't expect. She begged, not for forgiveness, not for our marriage, but for time. "I don't want to lose my daughter," she said. Her voice cracked. I stood. "You already have," I said. "You just don't feel it yet." She started crying. Her mother looked away ashamed. And then I left them there. Amanda in pieces, her mother trying to sweep them up with words too late to matter. Outside, the air felt cleaner than it had in months. I got in the car and pulled away without looking back, but the rearview mirror caught a final glance. Two figures behind glass, frozen in their own failure. Later that night, I sent one final update to the anonymous Telegram channel. No names, just a message. Fallout has a rhythm. You just have to be patient enough to hear it. And with that, I cued the next batch of leaks. She hadn't seen destruction yet, only the first tremors. The real earthquake was still to come. Amanda stopped fighting me in public after that. She disappeared from the spotlight she once loved. No more curated Instagram stories. No more spontaneous brunch selfies with her inner circle of faux enlightened chaos agents. She left the PR firm, deactivated her socials, and retreated into the one thing she never used to care about: privacy. But hiding doesn't reverse damage. It just delays the impact. I wasn't hiding. I was building. The psychologist had already begun sessions with our daughter, documenting her emotional response to the shifts in our home. Each note, every recording, was another piece of scaffolding for the structure I was quietly erecting in the background. A case not just for custody, but for the full picture, the kind that judges take seriously. Amanda's previous behavior, the volatility, the breakdowns during school drop-offs, suddenly they were relevant, provable, time-stamped. But therapy wasn't enough. I needed numbers, evidence that bled across pages and made people lean back in their chairs. So I hired a forensic auditor. We combed through Amanda's financial behavior with surgical precision: hidden purchases, credit lines in my name, a pattern of reckless, almost manic spending over the past 2 years, all linked back to her affair. She'd been playing financial roulette, shuffling cash to cover another man's shame. Luxury hotel rooms in cities I'd never been to. Course enrollments for spiritual retreats that were little more than beachside hookups. and one charge labeled consultation, fertility wellness. That one made my blood run cold. I'd had a vasectomy 5 years ago. The analyst raised his eyes only once while flipping through the files. "You'll want a criminal attorney too," he said, not even looking at me. "There's clear grounds for identity fraud and misappropriation of joint assets. And if that consultation is what I think it is," he let the sentence hang. So did I. Amanda requested another meeting. This time she didn't pretend it was about love. It was panic. Her lawyer had started getting uncomfortable. I agreed again, but the setup was mine. The location, neutral, recorded, cold. The attendees, Amanda, my lawyer, myself, and a surprise guest, her lover's ex-wife. I had reached out weeks ago after uncovering her name in a billing history tied to a shared Airbnb account. She hadn't known Amanda by face, but when I described what she looked like, when I sent her a few screenshots, everything changed. She agreed to meet. And when she walked into the room that day, Amanda flinched so hard her glass shook on the table. The woman took a seat beside me, didn't say a word, just dropped a USB drive on the table and slid it forward. Amanda's voice cracked. "Why is she—" "You're not the only one who thought your mess was private," I said, finally looking her in the eye. My lawyer pressed play on a short audio clip from the drive. Amanda's voice, high, dismissive, flippant. "I'll tell him it's postpartum stress. That way he'll pay for therapy too." Amanda looked like she'd been slapped. Her mother wasn't there this time. No one was there to catch her. Just legal boundaries and a silent crowd of enemies she made all on her own. The courtroom was next. It wasn't just divorce anymore. It was civil. It was criminal. The forged signatures. The loan fraud. And now, emotional manipulation tied to financial deception. Amanda tried to look composed when we entered. She wore white, a lie in fabric form. "I brought our daughter. Let the court see who had actually been holding the house together, who did the school runs, the bedtime stories, the therapy appointments." She held my hand tightly when we sat down. On the other side of the aisle, Amanda sat alone. The judge listened to the evidence, to the recordings, to the audit results. My lawyer laid it out like a surgeon pulling back the skin on something rotten. Then, one final blow. The ex-wife stepped forward, testified that her husband, Amanda's lover, had dumped her weeks before. For Amanda. Then again, just days after the HR fallout. For someone new. Amanda tried to speak, but the judge silenced her. The ruling came faster than I expected. Full custody to me, repayment of the misused funds, criminal investigation opened for signature fraud. I didn't look at Amanda as we exited the courtroom. She stood frozen in place, eyes wide, mouth slightly open like a ghost, realizing too late that it's dead. Outside, the sun was out. I unlocked the car. My daughter jumped into the back seat. My lawyer shook my hand and peeled off. The ex-wife gave me a nod, then left. I slid behind the wheel, turned the key, and waited for the radio to kick on. It was Radiohead. Fitting. I looked at my daughter in the mirror. "You okay?" She nodded. "Are we free now?" I smiled, small but real. "Yeah," I said. "We just won at life." Amanda didn't just lose the court case. She lost the narrative. And for someone like her, that was the real punishment. The courthouse steps had barely cooled beneath her heels before he, the man she thought was worth burning it all down for, turned and left her there. No final words, no apology, no explanation. He just got into a rideshare and vanished, like the coward he was always going to be. I didn't see it happen. I didn't need to. The building's lobby camera caught the whole scene, and Greg from HR, who'd since switched jobs but still enjoyed a bit of poetic justice, sent me the clip with no subject line, just the video. Amanda standing there with the man's overnight bag in one hand, watching taillights disappear, while courthouse employees walked past like she wasn't even real. She was finally living what she'd done to me, alone, discarded, and with nothing left to bargain. But I wasn't thinking about her. Not anymore. I was already gone. 3 months later, Denver. I bought a house that didn't have memories baked into the walls. No ghost laughter echoing through hallways, no air that felt tight with secrets. A clean, modern place with light in every room. No locked doors, No surveillance equipment hidden in the vents. I'd brought only two things from the old house: my daughter and the signed custody decree with the judge's seal. The rest? I left in the past like a burned-down stage set. My daughter adjusted faster than I expected. She made a friend at school in the first week, a girl with bright braids and a laugh that made our living room feel like summer again. Turned out her mother was recently divorced too, an architect, quiet, smart. Wore her sadness with elegance and calm, like someone who'd carried pain long enough to stop being afraid of it. She'd escaped a man who didn't hit, but crushed, emotionally, mentally, with a precision that made bruises feel like mercy. We had coffee once, then twice, then dinner. The kind where conversation flowed so easily it felt like a trick. And then she said something I hadn't expected. "You don't seem like a man who wants to be rescued," she told me. "I don't," I replied. "I just want to build something that doesn't need to be burned later." She smiled and nodded like she understood that better than most. We built a playground in the backyard together. Not a prefab kit, but something we designed from scratch. Beams cut by hand, bolts tightened one by one. A real structure, unshakable. Our kids helped paint it, red and green and blue. One weekend, they decided it needed a flag, so they made one out of an old bedsheet. It flapped proudly above the swing set. Some days I caught myself watching it, wondering how something so simple could feel like victory. On my daughter's birthday, we threw a party. Small, just family and neighbors. The architect's daughter made cupcakes. I built a projector screen in the yard and played a video I'd worked on for weeks. Just clips from our first year in Denver. First day of school, the first snowfall. Her dancing in the living room to music that was too loud, wrapped in a blanket like a superhero. When it ended, no one clapped. Everyone just cried. The good kind. The kind that doesn't sting, but cleans. Then I handed her a small wooden box with her name carved into it. Inside was a simple note. "In this house, only honesty." She hugged me like she never wanted to let go. And for the first time in years, I didn't flinch. I wasn't guarding myself anymore. Amanda never called again. The court order forbade it. Her parental rights had been restricted, visitation supervised. But even that didn't matter. She stopped trying. No more letters, no more drama. It was as if she'd faded into static, a face left behind in a shattered mirror. And still, I wasn't angry. Not anymore. The fire had already done its job. It had cleared the field. Now we were just planting new seeds. It's been a year since Denver became home. The air's different here. Drier, cleaner, stripped of the heaviness that once sat on my chest like sleep paralysis. I breathe easier now, not because everything's perfect, but because it's real. There's no second phone buzzing in the dark, no lies tucked beneath perfume, and carefully timed alibis. Just a quiet life with sharp corners, earned trust, and mornings that don't feel like I have to brace for impact. Amanda still exists, out there somewhere. Her name floats now like a sunken ship, whispers in HR departments, a cautionary tale among her former circle of self-empowered friends, most of whom have since ghosted her or posted vague spiritual quotes about karma and rebirth. She tried rebranding herself, new last name, minimalist profile picture, a brief stint as an online intimacy coach. It fizzled. What she destroyed couldn't be undone. But what I rebuilt, she'll never touch that again. The woman I met here, the architect, never asked for details about my past. She could see the shape of it by the way I measured my words, by the way I watched people a beat too long. She never pushed, just gave me space to build a rhythm, one that didn't feel like recovery, just life unfiltered. We don't talk about betrayal much. She's had her own. Her scars are quieter, but they run deep. The difference is, we don't pretend. There's no mask between us, and in that space, something powerful grew. Connection without performance. Love without armor. Our kids still laugh like best friends. Last week, they built a truth booth in the backyard. A cardboard box decorated with stickers where you had to sit and tell a secret before coming out. My daughter stepped in and whispered, "Sometimes I think we're superheroes because we escaped." She was right. We didn't just survive, we escaped. And in that escape, We found something rarer than revenge. We found peace. Amanda tried one final move. A letter. Handwritten. Mailed to my lawyer. No apology. No admission. Just a long, poetic ramble about grief and time and how she still dreams of the life we had. She asked if I could consider finding compassion in my heart one day. Asked if I'd let our daughter write back, even just once. I didn't respond. I showed my daughter the envelope, let her decide. She didn't open it, just tossed it into the fireplace like it was junk mail. We watched it burn together. She didn't say a word, but the look in her eyes was all I needed. That little girl, once confused and afraid, had become something Amanda never could have imagined. A steel-spined young woman who didn't cry over ghosts. That night, I pulled the projector back out into the yard, played the video montage again, our year of healing. This time I added new clips. Her learning to ride a bike on the trail behind the park. Her decorating our Christmas tree with the architect's daughter. The day she got an A on her science project and screamed so loud the neighbors clapped. Then a final frame. A black screen with white words. We build from ash. We live from truth. When the video ended, no one moved. Our neighbors, our friends, the people who'd helped us build again. Some wiped their eyes, others just sat in silence, holding hands or wrapping arms around each other. But I stood still, feeling something shift for the last time. The past wasn't weight anymore. It was evidence of how far we'd come. And when I walked back inside, my daughter trailed behind me. I asked if she wanted anything before bed. She shook her head. Then she paused at the stairs and looked up at me with eyes that saw everything. "Was Mom always like that?" she asked. I thought about it. All of it. Then I shook my head. Number. But when she changed, she let it burn. My daughter nodded. Then she whispered, "We didn't." She climbed the stairs one step at a time. And me? I stood there, firelight flickering in the corner of my vision, the scent of scorched paper still curling through the air. And I whispered one last thing to myself. Let her burn. Let the lies burn. Let the man I used to be burn. Because what rose in his place was fireproof. That's all for now, folks. Thank you for being with me today and listened. And if you liked my story, please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment below what you think about all this and what would you do if you were me. Also, don't forget to check my other stories in description below.